I've always felt insecure about my eyes. They were small, hidden beneath monolid lids, barely noticeable. Worse yet, my eyelashes were so thin and sparse that you could hardly see them even from the side. I rarely looked in mirrors, and usually kept my gaze lowered in conversations, as if trying to disappear. These unremarkable eyes made it hard for me to meet anyone's gaze, especially my crush's. And honestly, how could I not feel jealous when I looked at girls with long, perfectly curled lashes? It just didn't feel fair. One day, Gwen, my roommate, came home beaming. She held out 2 boxes of false lashes.
These are for you. The salon had a buy one get one free deal on lash extensions. Trust me, once you try them, everything will change.
Gwen had already worn hers and looked beautiful, her lashes thick, curled, and dramatic. I couldn't help but wonder what it would feel like to finally like what I saw in the mirror. So I agreed. Without wasting time, Gwen carefully applied glue along my lash line and placed each lash one by one. The moment it touched my skin, I felt a sharp, stinging sensation along my lash line, but I clenched my jaw and didn't flinch. I reminded myself that beauty came at a price, and if that price meant finally being noticed, maybe even by my crush, then I was willing to pay it. Once the lashes were on, I rushed to the mirror and almost didn't recognize myself. My eyes looked different, framed by long, dark lashes. For the first time in years, I felt something like happiness. To make them pop even more, I added a heavy coat of mascara, darkening each strand until they fanned out thick and full. Looking at my reflection, I felt a strange and unfamiliar satisfaction. I was scared that this new beauty would fade too quickly, so I refused to do anything that might ruin it. I avoided water, skipped makeup wipes, and barely touched the skin around my eyes. I believed that if I took extra care, if I treated every lash like it mattered, this new look would last long enough to catch the eye of the one I secretly liked. Then, out of nowhere, my eyelids started to itch. I brushed it off at first. I noticed a few small, blurry white dots clinging to the base of my lashes. I convinced myself it was just dried glue, maybe clumpy mascara. Nothing to worry about. But Gwen wasn't doing well at all. Her eyes were bloodshot, veins branching out like spiderwebs. The skin beneath her lids had begun to swell, puffed up as if reacting to something toxic. Gwen kept blinking, rubbing at her temples, lips pressed tight like she was trying to keep something in. One afternoon, Gwen stepped out of her room holding a bottle of eye drops.
Layla, I think we should clean our lashes and maybe get checked. Something's wrong with mine.
I turned to look at her. Her lower eyelid was swollen, bulging like it might burst. The rim was red and slightly leaking. You're probably just more sensitive than me. I feel totally fine. She gave me a worried look but said nothing more. That evening she decided to go to the clinic on her own. Soon, a strange burning sensation spread from the base of my lashes down into my eyes. I checked the mirror, but all I saw was a red, irritated rim around my eyelids. Thinking it was a mild reaction, I picked up some eye drops, hoping they'd help. But even as the discomfort lingered, I refused to remove the lashes. I didn't want to let go of the one thing that had made me feel beautiful. That night, I went to bed early, hoping sleep would fix it. But my eyelids kept twitching. Annoyed, I rubbed my eye, and that's when I felt it. Something small and wet slid down my cheek. It was light, like a drop of sweat, but it moved. I bolted to the bathroom and turned on the light. Leaning over the sink, I froze. My lashes were infested. Tiny white mites clung to the roots, wriggling in clusters. A few lashes fell, trailing blood. I completely panicked. I grabbed the faucet and splashed cold water onto my face. It felt like blades against my skin, but I didn't care. I scrubbed and clawed at my eyes, tearing off the fake lashes with my nails, no matter how much it hurt. I kept rinsing until my eyes were burning, swollen, and the last of those white dots finally washed down the drain. When the water settled, I looked at myself in the mirror. They were gone. I stood there, shaking, too drained to cry. Then I crawled back to bed, telling myself that maybe, by morning, everything would be fine. I had no idea. The real nightmare was just beginning. Suddenly, I jolted awake, gasping from a sharp, unbearable pain. My eyes wouldn't open. My eyelids were so swollen and tight. It felt like something was pounding beneath the skin. I trembled as I struggled to open one eye. And when I finally did, I was paralyzed with shock. It wasn't just my eyelids anymore. Now the infestation had spread to my eye sockets, my cheeks, even my temples. They were crawling under my skin, and wherever they moved, the flesh began to peel and flake away, revealing raw, red tissue underneath. When I touched my face, I could feel them shifting beneath the surface. One of them burst under my fingers, releasing a foul yellow pus that reeked so badly it made me gag.
Layla?
It was Gwen. She had just come home. The second she saw me, she screamed, dropping the bag of medicine in her hands. I don't know what's happening to me. Please, help me, I whispered, tears streaming down my cheeks. Gwen rushed over, grabbed a pair of tweezers, and tried to pull the parasites from my face. But each time she touched one, it burst open with a sickening pop. When she gently tugged at the skin beneath my eye, a layer peeled away, revealing a nest of hundreds of pale, writhing larvae, squirming like they had just woken up. I collapsed to the bed, too weak to scream. Gwen broke into sobs, hands shaking as she fumbled for her phone.
Please, you have to help her! The lash mites, they started with me, and now they've taken over her!
Cheap, unverified beauty products can be dangerous. Always choose wisely, for your health and safety.
Mukbang was everywhere. Everyone was doing it. Every time I opened YouTube, someone was stuffing food into their mouth like they were on a timer. The louder the slurping, the more views. I figured if they could do it, I could too. I set the lights, curated a pastel aesthetic, a table full of noodles, mochi, chicken wings, sauce dripping like blood. Then, reality hit. I didn't even make it through 1/5 of the spread. My stomach clenched. I vomited mid-stream. No one watched. No one cared. That night, I realized something cruel and honest. Normal doesn't trend anymore. People don't follow you because you're good. They follow you because you're memorable, weird, uncomfortable, unforgettable. So I pivoted to makeup. Beauty content always had loyal eyes. I wasn't a guru, but I knew enough. Contour tricks, dewy foundation, liner wings sharp enough to kill. I started going live, trying looks, doing get ready with me, whispering affirmations with fake confidence. And then it happened. In the middle of one stream, while demonstrating a serum dropper, a drop slipped past my lips. It tasted like perfume and ammonia. I gagged, my face twisted in revulsion. The comments exploded. They called it iconic, chaotic energy, too real. I didn't expect it to go viral, but the next day, the clip had over 600,000 views. People shared it, memed it, reenacted it. She ate the glow. Me accidentally eating shampoo as a kid. For the first time in my life, I was trending. PR packages started arriving. Lipsticks, masks, foundation sticks, perfume oils. Brands asked me to unbox, to review, to smile prettier. I felt like I'd made it. But fame is like sugar on the tongue. Sweet, fast, and then gone. A week later, views tanked again. The brands moved on. The inbox went dry. I paced my tiny apartment, eyes twitching from caffeine and ring light glare. I needed to be shocking again. I needed something grotesquely beautiful. What if I combined mukbang with makeup? The first time was rough. I applied blush, posed for the camera, and bit into the compact. The powder crumbled in my teeth, dry and bitter like old chalk. My tongue went numb. My throat itched. I forced a smile. It smells good. I lied. So it must taste good, right? I edited it to perfection. Bright filters, jazz music, kawaii overlays. Then I uploaded. Next morning, 2.7 million views. People were horrified and obsessed. Some mocked me. Some called me mentally ill. But others thought I was faking it. It's just candy shaped like makeup. She's trolling. No way she actually ate that. The crunch sound is edited. They thought I was a liar, so I decided to prove them wrong. I scheduled a live stream. Real makeup mukbang, nothing fake. Watch me eat. I arranged the table like a banquet from hell. A lip gloss charcuterie. Sheet masks folded like crepes. Serum-filled wine glasses. Cotton pads soaked in toner, stacked like macarons. The viewers flooded in. 20k viewers, 50k, 90k. I raised a lipstick to my mouth, bit down. The wax snapped like bone. Bitter oil filled my mouth. I chewed slowly, staring straight into the lens. Comments flew by. She's actually doing it. WTF. Art? This is art. The more I ate, the easier it got. I found textures I liked. Glossy, velvety, crumbly. There was something deeply satisfying about it, like I was feeding a hunger I never knew existed. My body didn't like it, not at first. I got dizzy. My tongue swelled. My stomach felt like it was lined with fire. But I didn't stop, because the numbers kept rising. I was finally being seen. The brands dropped me, of course. Some sent cease and desists. Others ghosted me. But new people found me. Dark corners of the web that celebrated extremity. They dared me to go further. Drink setting spray. Eat a face mask whole. Let's see you swallow glitter. And I did. Every time. Soon, I couldn't go a day without it. Off camera, I snacked on powder compacts. I kept a palette by my bedside like comfort food. My skin turned raw. Red patches crept up my neck. My eyes leaked. I scratched until I bled, but I covered it up. With more makeup. Always more makeup. For my magnum opus, I planned the beauty banquet. I spent days curating it, baking foundation into cookies, melting lipstick into sauces, turning mascara into syrup. I lit candles, adjusted the camera, scheduled the live stream. When I went live, 100,000 people joined within minutes. The chat screamed. Some were terrified. Some were mesmerized. I was high on validation. I bit into a sponge. It tasted like heaven. My throat tingled. My chest bloomed with warmth. I kept eating. Then, I noticed the rash. Tiny red dots swelling into blisters. My skin was bubbling. My neck looked like boiling wax. Comments flooded. Is this makeup or disease? Filter? No filter? turn off the stream. But I couldn't stop. I was so close to hitting 1 million live views. So I smiled, teeth smeared with glitter, and swallowed another mask. Then it hit. My throat clenched, like fingers inside me twisting. I couldn't breathe. My vision spiraled. I reached for water, but my arm didn't respond. It just dangled, twitching, like a broken puppet. I collapsed, face first into the table of cosmetics. My cheek burst open on the corner of an eyeliner tube. Blood mixed with blush. The comments kept flowing. Is this performance art? OMG, she's actually dying. Call someone. But no one did. Now I live in fragments, in clips, in sound bites, in every girl who thinks a little glitter in her soup might be cute. You think I'm gone? I'm not. I'm in your algorithm, in every viral makeup prank, in every beauty challenge that goes just a little too far. So next time someone eats something for laughs, next time you watch and say, she's just faking it, remember me, because I wasn't faking. And once you let attention inside, it never stops eating.
I sat in front of the mirror, carefully putting in a colourful contact lens for my right eye. I was just a regular cosplayer on TikTok, but today I was modelling for an online game character. I only got this chance thanks to Sarah, who unfortunately got an eye sty right before the photo shoot. Sarah, you just had a small surgery. Are you okay walking alone?
Haha, I still have my right eye. My left eye just needs to be covered for a day. I'll be fine. I'm heading out. Molly, today is a big chance for you. Do your best.
I turned back to continue my makeup when suddenly a loud bang shook the table, knocking everything to the floor. Sarah had fallen, her bag spilling all over the floor, mixing with my makeup items. Sighing, I bent down to help her pick them up. After a while, I finally sent Sarah off and focused on getting ready. Sitting back at my vanity, I put in the left contact lens. Only then did I realise I had grabbed Sarah's lens case by mistake. Luckily, the colour wasn't too different. I took out the lens from the solution and quickly put it on. I stood in front of the camera, confidently striking poses. The flash kept flickering, the shutter clicked rapidly. This was the spotlight I had always dreamed of. After a while, my left eye started itching. I frowned, trying to endure it, but my expression wasn't right, and the photographer had to pause the shoot. A staff member quickly walked over, handing me eye drops and a wet wipe. I used the drops, and the burning sensation eased a bit. I signaled to the photographer that we could continue. Standing in front of the camera again, I forced a smile. My eyes stung, but I held back the discomfort to finish the shoot. That night, I came home exhausted and collapsed onto my bed, too tired to remove my makeup. I yawned, my eyelids heavy. In my restless sleep, my eye started itching. Half asleep, I rubbed it without thinking. A sharp pain shot through my eye socket. It felt like something slipped past my eyeball, sinking deeper into my eye socket, but my eyelids were too heavy to open. The next morning, I woke up with my eyes swollen and bloodshot. The corners were crusted with discharge, so itchy that I kept rubbing them. I lifted my eyelid. Underneath was a huge sty. Looking at myself in the mirror, I bit my lip, worried. I couldn't let this ruin my shoot. Only my left eye was infected. It had to be Sarah's lens. I had a makeup shoot today. I couldn't show up like this. I tried icing it and the burning eased a little. But after 15 minutes, the swelling was still there. I figured the infection had turned into an abscess under my eyelid. Out of options, I pressed on the sty, forcing the pus out. A thick white discharge mixed with blood splattered onto the mirror. The pain was unbearable, but at least the swelling had gone down. Gritting my teeth, I put in my lens as usual and headed to the studio. Standing in front of the camera, the intense lights burned into my eyes. Every blink felt like torture. Both of my eyes stung and tears streamed down uncontrollably. In the end, the shoot had to be stopped. I bowed my head and apologized to the team. As soon as I got home, I rushed to my room to remove my makeup. Standing in front of the mirror, I wiped away the smudged foundation with a cotton pad. Both of my eyes were now swollen, bloodshot. I pulled my right eyelid down and saw tiny white bumps stacked together. Carefully, I used tweezers to remove the lens. Then I pulled my left eyelid, but instead of small bumps, a huge swollen lump bulged in the center. Taking a deep breath, I gritted my teeth and tried to take the lens out, but as I pulled, the edge of the lens scraped against the lump. I could almost feel it bursting like an overinflated balloon. Pus and blood splattered, flooding my eye socket. I screamed in pain, frantically wiping with a cotton pad. The pus soaked through, sticky against my fingers. Trembling, I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes, puffy, red, and glistening with fluid. With shaking hands, I pulled my left eyelid again. There, buried in the swollen lump, was the corner of my lens. I trembled in fear, my whole body shaking uncontrollably. Tears streamed down my face as I bolted out of the house. My vision blurred. Something pitch black blocked the corner of my left eye. Panic surged through me as I stumbled down the stairs. I missed a step. My foot slipped. Pain exploded through my body as I crashed down. A scream tore from my throat. Dizziness. Agony. I forced my eyes open and found myself in a hospital bed.
You're awake. You're very lucky. Just some minor head injuries. But your eyes, there's a serious issue. You tried to pop a sty, which led to an infection and an abscess. The CT scan also showed several foreign objects lodged deep in your eye socket. They look like contact lenses. We need to remove them immediately before they put pressure on your optic nerve.
His words left me frozen in shock. My stomach twisted. Without hesitation, I agreed to the surgery. Lying on the cold operating table, my eyes were fixed in place. The yellow surgical light blurred everything in my vision. I couldn't see clearly, but I could hear. The soft clinking of metal tools told me the procedure had begun. Even though I had mentally prepared myself, the sensation of cold metal scraping against my eyeball made me want to scream. It turned out there wasn't just one lens stuck in my eye socket. One by one, the doctor slowly pulled out dry, shriveled contact lenses. I could only lie still and endure the endless torment. They say the face holds your fate, that certain features can block prosperity or open doors to fortune. I used to scoff at things like that, but the truth is, when enough people tell you you look tired, worn, drained, something inside you begins to believe it. Over the years, I started noticing the stares. Not long, not deliberate, just brief glances that always seemed to settle beneath my eyes. As if the dark circles, the swelling, the heaviness I carried there somehow spoke louder than anything I said. They weren't just eye bags. They felt like anchors, like weights that held me down, kept me small, kept good things just out of reach. So when I came across the ad, change your features, shift your fortune, eye bag removal, lifetime guarantee, last day of offer. Something inside me responded before I could reason with it, and almost without thinking, I booked the appointment right then and there. The spa was quiet, tucked inside a building I'd never noticed before. Its windows dim, its hallways strangely hollow, as if the place had forgotten how to welcome anyone at all. As I stepped in, the receptionist greeted me with such warmth, such urgency.
You're so lucky. It's the final day. If you don't decide now, you may never get this chance again.
And I, already so tired of second-guessing, just nodded. I told myself it was fine. They didn't ask much, barely anything at all, and before I knew it, I was lying beneath bright lights, the procedure unfolding faster than I was prepared for. I lay back and closed my eyes as they worked in silence. I felt pressure, a tug, the strange sensation of something sliding free beneath my skin. And then it was done.
Smooth operation. You'll see the difference in days.
And I clung to that promise, hoping it might actually be true. My left eye began healing within 2 days, the swelling reduced, the bruising faded, and I started to believe that maybe this really would change something. But the right eye felt wrong. There was a dull, rhythmic pulse beneath the lid, a pressure that wouldn't subside. By the 3rd day, the area began to itch from the inside, and that night, as I bent over the sink to wash my face, I caught sight of a thin stream of blood curling down my cheek, slow, deliberate, like my skin had started to cry. I pressed gently, trying not to panic, but the pressure was building. Beneath the lid, I could feel something pushing outward, like a fist against silk. The next morning, I returned to the spa, hoping for answers, maybe even concern. But the staff didn't seem alarmed by my bloodied face. In fact, they appeared almost indifferent, as if this wasn't the first time they'd seen something like it. She pressed fresh gauze against my face, offered a soft smile, and said it was all part of the process.
Some people react more strongly, but don't worry. It's already been taken care of.
There was something rehearsed in her tone, something too smooth to be entirely sincere, but I didn't push. Maybe I needed to believe it was still going to be okay. After all, I'd already come this far. At home, everyone kept looking at me, but no one said anything. There was a quiet curiosity in their gazes, as if they were waiting to see if the new me would finally match the woman I used to be. I tried to believe I was on the verge of becoming beautiful. Just a few more days, I thought. Just enough time to heal before the family reunion. That night, I sat at the dinner table with my family, smiling through discomfort, pretending nothing was wrong. But the heat behind my right eye kept rising, slow and searing, until it felt like something inside me had caught fire. And then it happened. A thick, wet warmth slid down my cheek. Without thinking, I pressed my hand to my face, and when I pulled it away, my fingertips were stained with dark blood. I froze. A moment later, the skin beneath my eye began to swell violently, rising like a blister. It throbbed under the weight of every eye in the room. I stood, stammering an apology, my legs trembling as I backed away from the table. I pressed a napkin to my cheek and hurried toward the bathroom, ignoring the dozens of stares clinging to my back. Inside, I locked the door and turned to the mirror. What stared back wasn't me. And then, with a wet pop, the skin split open. From beneath the torn flesh, a pale orb pushed its way out, smooth, glistening, wrapped in a thin veil of fluid. Then the eye blinked. It wasn't mine. It wasn't even human. Smaller but fully formed, growing beneath my skin, with a deep red iris and a pupil slowly narrowing to the light. The worst part was, it was looking at me. It studied me. And in that moment, I felt more exposed than I ever had in my life. I stumbled backward, shaking, breath shallow and sharp. My real eye, the one I was born with, had turned glassy, unfocused, as if it had given up. But the new one, this thing, was learning. It blinked again, slower this time, like it was getting used to the world, getting used to being here. In that moment, I realized not every fate is meant to change for the better. Maybe I should have never cared so much about how others looked at me, because now I've lost who I am.
Please be cautious when considering low-cost procedures at unverified spas. These services may pose serious risks to your health, and in some cases, even your life.
To whoever finds this letter, I have always hated myself. I was never a striking beauty. My features were plain, unremarkable. People said my face lacked sharpness, that my eyes were too small, my jaw too round. In a world where appearance dictated fate, I felt invisible. I sought answers in the whispers of fortune tellers, and each time they confirmed my greatest fear. My face held no promise of fame, no fortune written in my features. You do not have the destiny of a star, one told me, peering into my face with quiet finality. Those words echoed in my mind for years, fueling an obsession that would eventually consume me. I wanted to change, but they told me it would take more than just a simple fix. My naive, foolish self, desperate and full of determination, believed them. I was young when I first stepped into the clinic. It was before the turn of the millennium, when cosmetic surgery was still crude, its promises far greater than its reality. I was naive, believing that a scalpel could carve perfection. The doctor assured me that beauty was just an injection away. I did not question him when he plunged the needle into my skin, filling my face with substances I could not name. At first, I felt nothing but excitement. My skin stretched tight, my chin more defined. I thought I was becoming the woman I had always dreamed of. The first few days, I admired my reflection, running my fingers over my sharper jawline, my fuller lips. I could almost believe I was beautiful, but the changes did not stop. My face began to swell, grotesquely ballooning beyond recognition. The tightness became unbearable, my skin straining as if it would split. My cheeks puffed unnaturally, my forehead bulged, and a strange numbness crept over my features. I awoke each morning to find my reflection had twisted further into something monstrous. The more I tried to hide it with makeup, the more it became clear. This was no normal reaction. Panic set in. I sought out other clinics, desperate for help. They examined me with clinical detachment before delivering the verdict. I had been injected with cooking oil. Cooking oil. The words rattled in my skull. I could not process them. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but all I could do was stare as they explained that the oil had seeped into my tissues, impossible to remove completely. The horror was unbearable. I tried to undo the damage, but every attempt at correction only made it worse. More surgeries, more injections, each one a desperate attempt to erase the nightmare staring back at me in the reflection. My skin, once stretched too tight, now sagged in strange places. The tissue swelled unevenly, my cheeks grotesquely large, my lips stiff and misshapen. My nose, once small, had thickened, losing its definition. The more I fought against the transformation, the more it consumed me. As my face distorted further, I became unrecognizable. The skin lost its shape, stretched and sagged in unnatural ways. My features no longer aligned. My cheeks swelled unevenly. My lips twisted into a permanent grimace. I remember the horror in my boyfriend's eyes when he last visited. He could not hide his disgust, no matter how much he tried to feign sympathy. After that day, he stopped coming altogether. Soon, no surgeon would touch me. They all shook their heads, their pity sharper than any knife. It's too late. Nothing can be done. But I refused to accept their words. I did not dare show my face in public. I avoided the outside world as much as possible, locking myself away in my darkened room. I could not bear the stares, the whispers, the disgust written on strangers' faces. But even in isolation, I could not accept my life in such ugliness. Those doctors, who earned fortunes sculpting beauty, had no solution for me. If they could not save me, then I would save myself. I turned to the streets, to the black market, to syringes filled with liquid nightmares. I no longer cared what was inside them. If it promised to smooth my skin, to restore my beauty, I took the risk. Alone in the dark room, I treated myself with the needle of hope. My face became a melting mask, my features distorting into something not quite human. My hands trembled as I traced my swollen cheeks, the uneven patches of flesh where the injections had hardened into lumps beneath my skin. I looked like a wax figure left too close to the fire. People recoiled when they saw me. Strangers whispered behind my back. I stopped leaving my house, stopped answering the door, stopped looking into mirrors, and stopped everything. If you are reading this letter, then I have gone somewhere far away from here. My name is Han Mi-ok. Once, I dreamed of beauty. I longed for admiration, for the kind of allure that could captivate an entire room. I wanted to be loved, to be remembered, to be immortal in the eyes of the world. But now, all that remains of me is this letter and the reflection that haunts my mirror. Hey, my lovelies. Linda here, and today, we're diving into something revolutionary. Derma Glow Extreme Peel promises a whole new you, overnight. A fresh start. Literally. And who doesn't want to wake up looking brand new? The packaging was undeniably opulent and minimalist lettering that whispered of luxury. Ooh, fancy. Let's see what the hype is about. I unfolded the instructions, my eyes scanning the fine print. Become a new person in one night? Bold claim. But the reviews, they're glowing. A flicker of unease danced across my features. The brand was unsettlingly obscure, almost non-existent, yet the before and after photos were impossibly perfect. This was sent to me by a high-end skincare brand. They claim it's dermatologist approved, though there's not much info about them online. Still, the reviews are amazing, so let's give it a go. I squeezed a dollop of the pearlescent serum onto my fingertips. The texture was cool, almost icy, a stark contrast to the growing heat in the studio lights. Feels nice. A little tingle, but nothing crazy. I applied it all over my face, meticulously following the instructions. The initial coolness morphed into a subtle warmth, then a prickling heat that made my skin tighten. Okay, feeling that kick in? This is just it working its magic. A little facial workout. A very intense facial workout. A few minutes ticked by, each one an eternity. The heat intensified, morphing into a searing burn that made my skin feel like it was stretched to breaking point. I glanced at the mirror, my breath hitching. My face was a grotesque shade of crimson, tiny red bumps erupting like angry volcanoes. Whoa, that's intense. Definitely working. Wow, it's definitely potent. But beauty is pain, right? And trust me, the results are going to be so worth it. Imagine waking up with skin like porcelain, like a goddess. My eyes darted to the chat, where the comments were morphing from excited anticipation to frantic warnings. Guys, relax. It's all part of the process. You know how these extreme peels are. They're intense, but they're also incredibly effective. Just stick with me and you'll see. We're going to transform together. Think of this as a beauty ritual, a sacred transformation. I could feel something shifting beneath my skin, a subtle, unsettling movement. Isn't it amazing how quickly it works? Like, it's really getting deep, you know? It's like it's changing me from the inside out. Ha, ha, ha. Don't you just love that feeling? That transformative feeling? 15 minutes, the recommended time, the point of no return. My face throbbed, a pulsing, agonizing ache. This is more than I expected. Maybe I should rinse it off now. I rushed to the bathroom, desperate to wash it off. But as I touched my skin, a large patch peeled away. Panic seized me, my hands shaking as I frantically splashed water on my face. But it only made it worse. My skin sloughed off in sheets like wet paper. My pores dilated, oozing a thick, viscous fluid. My reflection was a horror show, a grotesque parody of my former self. I stumbled back to the studio, my vision blurring with tears. I looked at the mirror, and my blood ran cold. Something was moving under my skin, squirming, writhing. It felt like insects, like worms, desperate to escape. Release me. A voice rasped from my throat, not mine. My fingers slick with the viscous ooze, trembled as I fiddled with the camera's focus. Just a little adjustment. We wouldn't want to miss any of the magic happening, would we? The shifting beneath my skin intensified, a frantic, desperate struggle. It's like a butterfly, you know, in its chrysalis, going through its metamorphosis. A beautiful, glorious transformation. The burning intensified, a searing, white-hot pain that made me want to scream. But the smile on my face remained fixed, an unnaturally wide, grotesque grin. Almost there, I crooned, my voice a distorted parody of my usual cheerful tone. Almost perfect. My eyes widened, not in fear, but in a strange, detached fascination. I watched as my reflection began to change, the smooth porcelain skin warping and twisting, forming grotesque alien shapes. Look at what it's doing. It's rebuilding me, making me better. The final layer of skin peeled away, revealing the grotesque alien face beneath. But even as I stared at the horrifying visage, it began to smooth out, to reshape itself. The warped features softened, the alien contours melted away, and a new face emerged. A face that was even more beautiful than my own. Perfect. Finally, perfect. Now, where were we?
I didn't know it would seep into me like poison. None of us did. Back then, the excitement of the role, the promise of fame, was a song I couldn't resist.
You're perfect for the Tin Man.
The director had said, eyeing me with that hungry, hollow smile.
We want real, authentic, pure art.
Real. It always starts with that word. And so I agreed when they told me the makeup would be special. An aluminum paint, a metallic sheen that would make my face gleam like I'd stepped straight out of a fairy tale. I sat in the chair for hours. The makeup artist was meticulous, layering on the aluminum liquid with a brush that felt stiff, almost sharp against my skin. The paint was cold, seeping into my pores, stiffening as it dried. I barely recognized myself when I glanced in the mirror, a grinning, gleaming statue of a man.
Don't smile too much.
The makeup artist warned.
It might crack.
Crack. I should have paid attention to that word too. The first sign was the itch. It started as a tickle under my chin, just beneath the aluminized jawline.
Cut!
I scratched absently, my fingernails scraping against the hardened paint. Nothing. My skin wasn't mine anymore. It was smooth and unyielding, a surface more metal than flesh. By day 3 of shooting, the itch had grown into a wildfire. My face burned underneath the layers of makeup, and the feelings spread like ants crawling up my throat into my ears. My skin no longer itched. It screamed.
It's fine.
The director barked when I complained.
Art is sacrifice, remember? Look at you! You're beautiful! The Tin Man lives because of you.
Beautiful. I stopped arguing. I stopped sleeping too, because every night I would wake with my body cramped in agony. Fingers curled into claws, toes bent until I thought the bones might snap. My skin felt hot, but my reflection was still ice cold. Then the coughing started. I was in my trailer rubbing my forearm absently. Aluminum dust shimmered off my fingertips like falling ash. I coughed once, then again, harder this time, and felt something catch in my throat. When I spit into the sink, the sputum was grey. Dark veins of aluminum streaked through it. It's fine, I muttered to myself, but my voice sounded wrong, hoarse, metallic, as if something hollow were vibrating inside me. I leaned in close to the mirror and gasped. The skin around my mouth had cracked. Tiny fissures ran from the corners of my lips, flaking open to reveal raw, oozing red. I touched it, and a piece of silvered skin peeled away like dried paint. I bit back a scream. I had become what they wanted, but... I went back on set the next morning, but no one would look me in the eye.
Don't touch him.
I heard one of the extras whisper.
The stuff gets on you. It doesn't come off.
My co-star recoiled when I brushed her arm. I looked down to see aluminum dust smeared across her pristine costume. I tried to wipe it away, but my fingertips left behind streaks, and when I pulled my hand back, my nails had turned silver. The burning worsened. My skin, no, my surface, tightened until I could barely move. I felt like a statue that might shatter if I moved too quickly. Still, they made me perform. Still, they called it art. The final scene was meant to be triumphant, the Tin Man walking into the sun. I staggered onto the set, blinking against the blinding light. Each step felt heavier than the last, my joints grinding like gears.
Keep going!
The director yelled. My feet stuck to the ground. I looked down and saw aluminum pooling around my boots, spreading like mercury, as if I were melting into the earth. I tried to lift my foot, but it was no longer mine. My toes had fused together, the aluminum consuming the spaces between them. Help, I croaked, my voice ringing like a cracked bell. No one came. The sun grew hotter. I raised a trembling hand to shield my face and saw the skin slough off, ribbons of aluminum paint fluttering away to reveal smooth, gleaming metal. My hand caught the light and reflected it back at me, a twisted, blinding mockery of myself.
Almost there.
The director whispered, his voice filled with awe. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came. My lips had fused together, my vision blurred, darkening at the edges, and in those final moments I realized what I had become, a statue, a monument to sacrifice. I woke up in a hospital bed, the ceiling a sterile white. My lungs burned with every breath, and a mask hissed softly over my face, pumping oxygen into me.
You inhaled too much aluminum dust,
the doctor said when I opened my eyes.
You're lucky we caught it in time.
Lucky. I spent 2 weeks trapped in that bed, ribs aching with every inhale, my body slowly purging itself of the aluminum poison. They told me my skin had turned blue during the reaction. I tried to laugh at the irony, but the sound came out broken. The studio sent flowers, but no apology.
They're replacing you.
My agent told me.
It's not personal, okay? They're changing the makeup. It's safer now.
Safer. I lay back in bed staring at the ceiling, imagining the next poor fool sitting in that makeup chair, letting the aluminum seep into his skin. I wondered if he'd see me in the mirror, a shadow of the Tin Man, trapped forever in the cracks.
Stefan, I curse you! One day a blade will pierce your heart. You will lose what you cherish most and die a gruesome death.
That terrifying dream again. That dark witch may have been destroyed by my own hands, but her dreadful curse still haunts me.
Father, wake up! What's wrong?
I just feel a little tired. Happy birthday, my dear Aurora. You're 16 now. After I defeated Maleficent and took over the sacred forest, the kingdom flourished, but one by one my loved ones left me. Now only Aurora remains. Aurora was born with a curse, that on her 16th birthday she would prick her finger on a spindle and fall into a deep sleep. But I burned every spinning wheel in the kingdom. I will prove that these curses are nothing but nonsense.
Your Majesty, the princess has collapsed in the basement. The curse has come true.
No, that's impossible. After days of trying everything to wake Aurora with no success, I had to accept the truth. The curse had really come true.
Your Majesty, all the witches in the kingdom have gathered at the palace.
But I won't give up. Aurora, sleep peacefully in your own castle. I will find a way to break this curse. The most powerful witches were summoned to the castle, yet none of them could offer anything useful. And yet, some still dare to slack off on their duties. Take the soldier on my left and execute him immediately. Trying to play tricks, are you? Eric, check on him for me.
Your Majesty, he has fallen into a deep sleep just like the princess.
My heart nearly stopped. A chill ran through my body. Could the curse still not be over? Within days, a strange sleeping plague spread across the kingdom. Anyone who closed their eyes would never open them again. I held a council that lasted for days, summoning every witch and healer in the land, but no one could find a way to stop it. Panic consumed the people. They did everything to stay awake, torturing themselves, taking stimulants, even cutting their own skin to fight off sleep. But in the end, exhaustion always won. More and more fell victim to the curse. They lay still like the dead, bodies warm, breath steady, yet completely unresponsive. Just like Aurora. No matter if this was a curse or something else, as king, I had to find a way to stop it. Beat him until he wakes up. The soldiers obeyed, landing a hard kick on the sleeping man. And he woke up as a monstrous, bloodthirsty creature. Kill them all! But those bitten turned into the same horrifying beasts. Like the zombie, the two monsters were slain with ease. But the danger was far from over, in fact. It was only beginning to spread. Issue an order across the entire kingdom. No one is allowed to wake the sleeping. But all my efforts to stop it were too late. The awakened zombies went on a rampage, infecting everyone around them. The kingdom fell into unprecedented chaos. Witches and healers were summoned once again. And once again, they left empty-handed. I could only gather the survivors within the castle, raising walls of thorns to keep the zombie at bay. But it was only a temporary measure. I knew that the only way to stop this was to find the source of the plague.
Aurora must be the cause. She's been dead, but the king refused to bury her. Her body must be spreading something unclean.
You think so too? The others are already planning to burn down the Rose Castle.
How dare you touch my daughter? Guards, stop them immediately. You beasts, stay away from my daughter.
Your Majesty, let us destroy the source of the plague. It's the only way to end this.
No, my daughter is not the source. This is a curse. Maleficent's curse. Suddenly, horrifying screams filled the air. The beautiful roses twisted and turned into bloodthirsty monsters. At this moment, I had to admit it. This was Maleficent's revenge, and I had lost completely. Maleficent, I know you're still out there. I betrayed you all those years ago, but Aurora is innocent. Out of nowhere, the thorny vines slowly parted, revealing a path leading to the castle. I walked into the castle with ease, making my way to Aurora's bedside. She lay there peacefully, as if at any moment she would open her eyes, look at me with those beautiful blue irises and call out, "Father." Maleficent, Aurora has done nothing wrong. Give her back to me. I'm willing to trade my life for hers. A bone-chilling cold surged through my body. My strength drained in an instant. My skin shriveled, my limbs withered, my flesh dried up like a corpse drained of blood. Aurora opened her eyes, but she was no longer my beloved daughter.
Stefan, I never thought someone like you could truly love another.
Maleficent? Why is it you? Where is my daughter? How dare you use her body to house your filthy soul?
Father, why would you call me a filthy soul? I erased all my hatred so I could be reborn as your daughter. We've been a happy father and child for 16 years, haven't we?
No, this can't be.
Thank you, Father. Thanks to your genuine love, the sleeping curse has been broken. And now,
My soul has awakened once more, along with every memory of my past life. This kingdom of lies and cruelty, these people who destroyed my sacred forest, they will all pay the price. They will all become part of the forest's fungi.